All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today, being sponsored by the Asian Business Association in collaboration and partnership with Lendistry. My name is Tina Pelzer, and I am the lead relationship manager and partner development manager with Lendistry. And I'll be supporting this webinar today by going over what the program is about, the webinar guidelines, and access to tools and materials that you all would need to apply. All right, I'm going to start with dropping in the website to the program here in the chat. So you're welcome to follow along if you'd like. If you haven't already visited, if you have questions regarding it, everything that you would need to know is going to be in the public facing website at lachamberrecoveryfund.com. All right. Thank you so much, ABA, for hosting this webinar today. And we're looking forward to seeing more participants. Participants, you're welcome to drop questions in the chat as we go along as well. I will pause throughout the webinar to answer questions that you may have in the chat. All right. So the website, I put it in the chat for everyone to get. The program is being hosted by the LA Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation. All right. So this program is funded to support small businesses that were affected by the recent disasters that began in on January 7th. Right? This would be the website for it. And like many grant programs or applications or websites, you have your toolbar at the top that will be your go-to for the information that you might want to find out about the program. There's the apply button that's here and there. And we encourage people, please read the qualifications before you dive in to apply, because you really want to take a look to see if you qualify for the program and get any questions answered that you might have in order to apply. All right. Next, we want to make sure we highlight the donors. This program is being funded by private organizations. As you see listed here, they are providing financial resources to support small businesses like you all to be able to get funding because of the disasters. So we want to make sure that we point that out. And then if you want to join future webinars, they will be listed here on our webinar page. But I'm quite sure ABA will get you guys webinar information out as well. And one of the biggest tools is the FAQ. This is a portion of the website that if you have a question that's very specific, what are the documents? What are the grant amounts available? Do I qualify? You can click on one of these to find out, what the answer is to that specific question, and it'll drop down what the answer is for each one. All right. I'm going to go back to the home page of the website and point out a few things here that would be very, very helpful, that I find helpful and many other applicants do. One of the first things is we've added a quick links button. So it will work very similar to the FAQs, but it's where you can get to sections that you need to know quickly. The other item is that we have here, if you see to the bottom left, there's a flag. And if you click the arrow up, you can find the languages that are supported by this program, and it will change the actual website to that language. All right, so you can click on the one that relates to the language you need, and it'll change it to that. All right. And then lastly, on the website, we have a chat feature that if you don't want to call in, right, to get help, which you're always welcome to, but let's say you just want to chat and find out about it, you can use our chat feature, and there's a live person that will be there to answer your questions via this chat feature. All right, we're going to dive into everything about the program. Again, this is the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce Foundation Small Business Disaster Recovery Fund program. All right. We give the information on why they put this out, because it's Rebuilding Together. And then let's dive into the specifics of this particular program. So the grant program details the application period opened on May 7th, and the application period will close on June 6th. So that's 30 days to get the application in. It is currently open. We'll talk about the application in just a few moments, but it's a pretty quick process as long as you have your documentation in order. Please get your application submitted by June 6th at 5 p.m. Unfortunately, we're unable to accept applications after this time because the application period will be closed. And what that means is, even if you started an application but you did not finish it, your application would not be able to be reviewed. You must submit a completed application in order to be considered for the program. All right. Um, we also let folks know that the program funding is limited. So, depending on where the funds and how much is being spent, we don't guarantee grant funding. Um, and that is because we could be limited for funds for the program, but don't worry about that right now. Get your applications in. Right now, the doors are open, and there is money for you to be able to potentially get in a grant. All right, we're going to get into the eligibility requirements. You just click this link, and this is really the bulk of what you need to know, right? You need to know how long you have to apply. You need to know, how do I qualify? And then how to get your application in. So let's go over the eligibility requirements. And this is for small businesses and nonprofit organizations that are 501c3. All right. So the only nonprofit that is eligible is a 501c3 nonprofit, but the program is open to 501c3 as well as small businesses of almost all entity types. All right. Number one, eligibility requirements require that the authorized signer um, and or business owner, whoever the person is that's authorized to make decisions and sign on the business and or nonprofit, must be 18 years or older. The business or nonprofit has to have had $10 million or less in annual gross revenue for the year 2023. All right, 10 million or less. So what that means is, you, as a business, would need to have been under $10 million for the year of 2023 in annual revenue. All right. And the reason, I'll skip this chart just a second. The reason the business needs to have 10 million or less in 2023 is because your business must have been registered legally in the state of California on or before June 1st of 2023. And then the grant award amounts, the eligible award amounts, are based on your annual revenue, right? So if you were to qualify for the funding, and we move forward in the process, you could get from 10K to $25,000, and it would all depend on what your annual revenue is for the taxable year of 2023. All right, and they're in increments as listed here. All right, we're going to continue on with number 4. Number 4 is, and read these very carefully, and Vi and ABA team, we're going to depend on you guys to kind of make sure that applicants, and if you have questions, applicants, please call in to ABA. Because you want to make sure you pay attention to the eligibility, especially as it relates to where you are located and your operations based on the disasters. All right. So number 4 says, is currently open and operating within the Eaton and Palisades wildfire disaster impact and evacuation area. But then it goes on to say, or you plan to reopen and resume your operations within those impacted areas of Eaton and Palisades. Now, don't stress or worry, because if right now you're not open because of the disasters, that's okay. You still qualify, but you must have a plan to reopen in those areas that were impacted and evacuated, right? So in Eaton or Palisades areas, you must be planning to try to reopen your businesses in those areas. Okay, so I hope that's clear. In any event, ask questions before you submit so that you're clear on honestly answering for these eligibility criteria. Number 5, you must also meet both of the following, right? So you must have been or are physically located within the disaster impacted areas of Eaton and Palisades, and 50% or more of your business clientele base was located in that area. So, for example, you had a coffee shop, and the coffee shop is based in the evacuation area or impacted area as determined in this program. And most of your clientele was from there, like that's where they frequented, that's where it was, 50% or more, then you would qualify. All right. So just make sure you pay attention to how your business fits these qualifications. All right. And then lastly, number 6, nonprofits, they must be registered with the California Department of Justice Registry. All right. So those are the basic 6 criteria, right? Now, here's the one you really want to pay attention to, because you know how it says up at the top, and it says here, for the purpose of this program, the business must be located in these impacted and evacuation areas, but as listed here. So these 11 zip codes are really what are going to determine if you are eligible. So what I would do is I would get my business documentation out, my registration, or if I know it already, and I would say, hey, is my business registered in one of these zip codes? That would be your first determination if you would qualify. And if it is, which we're thinking most people that are trying to apply for this program, you are in one of the affected or impacted areas, then you would move along and go ahead and complete your application, submit it, and then go through the process of validation. All right, so just take a look at this. If you scroll down a little more we also have it, the list of who's not eligible, and you all can take some time to look at that. I won't read that word for word, but it really is, anyone, insurance companies, businesses who restrict patronage, if you're lobbying, if you are disbarred. So just read over that to see if you fit any of those criteria that would make you ineligible. Next is the impact and evacuation area. That's the exact same zip code list that is in the first eligibility tab. So if you want to take a quick look and people say, hey, let me just get to the bottom line. Do I fit these zip codes? They can click this link and see if their business is in one of these zip codes that would qualify. All right. So then we're going to move down a little bit and we're going to get into the required docs. This program, there's not a lot of documents you need. It's not a whole lot. It's really 3 main things. The first is the applicant certification, and that is a document that you can only find via our website or within the application. You won't have that yourself. And what that is it's just a documentation that you're going to initial and sign to say that the information that you're putting in the application is true to your knowledge, right? So you fit the guidelines, you are answering the information true. That's what that is, for us to be able to confirm that you understand the guidelines and that you're going to answer truthfully in the application. All right, the next 2 would be documents you would have. These are the things that you would need to pull out. You would need to grab your 2023 your 2023 tax return, federally filed tax return. We don't need the state tax return. We don't need any of that. We just need your full 2023 federally filed tax return and no redactions. So it cannot be altered. All right. So we are not looking at most of the information in your tax return. What we are looking at is to match up the business with the business owner in the application. as well as help to determine how much your grant award might be, right? So remember that chart that we looked at, that your grant award is based on your annual revenue for 2023. And again, it must be the 2023 federally filed unaltered tax return. For nonprofits, it would be your 990. And for-profit businesses, we list the type of um, IRS federal filed tax forms that you would use. We also indicate the line that we're looking at to show the revenue. So take a look at that. All right, so that's one document. Well, we've got two, right? The app cert that you're going to get from us and the one that you would have, that's your taxes. The next one is going to be your proof of business location, and then how old the business is and if it's in good standing. It's all in one doc. All you need is your business registration documents. So what that would be is, let's say you are a cosmetologist and you have a board license, that works. Let's say you are in the county and you just need a business registration license, that would work, right? So a legal government issued registration is what we are looking for here. We will accept it from a city registration, a county registration, or a state registration. And it can be the commercial, it can be anything that the city, state, or county would provide you as a registered business. All right. If you have questions about that, give us a call. But we've got three documents, and then the last two things are going to be your photo ID, and that would be a government issued ID. So it can be your passport, it can be your driver's license, it can be your state ID. Um, it's a list of them that you'll see in persona. That's how we verify who you are. You'll see what you can upload there. And then you would have to have a valid bank account. Now, the program asks for a business bank account, but personal bank accounts are allowed as long as it matches the business in the application, all right, or business owner, for those that are like sole props and they use their personal account as well. All right, so to sum up the required docs, you need three: your applicant certification, your federally filed tax return, and your business registration document. All right, so we tried to minimize what was needed there. All right, and if we can scroll up a little bit more, I'm sorry, scroll down, my apologies. The grant award amounts are listed there. The eligible use of funds, you can use funds for this program for anything related to your business expenses as a result of the disasters. So don't worry about any other funding source that you may have. We've gotten questions where they say, if I got FEMA funding, can I not use it for the same thing? If I was funded for another program, can I not qualify for this? You can absolutely apply and qualify for this program because it does not depend or make a difference in other funding that you may have received. All right, so please, we encourage you to apply. All right, let's scroll down a little bit more. We talk about, just more than recovery, because the LA Area Chamber, they are in the process of trying to extend even this grant by way of collaborating with other businesses to gain more funding. They're currently still fundraising for the program, so there might be more to come. And then lastly, on this landing page, if we scroll down a little more, you will see two things that are going to be very important. The one in the blue section, you see where we have our Customer Experience Center. We are open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And you can call us to get questions answered, help with the application. If you get stuck, with a technical issue or something like that, please feel free to give us a call. We can see into your application here at Lendistry, and we can support whatever the need is. In addition, you'll see in the red section that we have the application guide. The additional languages will be coming soon. We kind of we put the program out really quickly. So the translated application guides will be up there pretty soon. All right, so before we click into the application guide, I want to pause to see if there are any questions Let's look at the chat. I don't see any. Oh, here we go. We got one that came up. Do we need to file taxes for this grant by the end of the year? Is there any requirements on how to use the grant if awarded? Great question. So if you go up, Vi, for me, go up to the FAQs at the top of this page, and to the right corner says FAQs. There's a question there that if you click that link, it says, do I have to pay taxes? I think is how it's worded. What you will need to do is you will need to add this grant if you get it, and you would have to file it, right, to say that you've gotten it. Now, what you would pay on it would be up to however your taxes, how it goes, but the answer is right there in our FAQs. So I hope that that would help, but you will need to file this on your tax returns. And then for the second part, is there any requirements on how to use the grant if awarded? There's another question in the FAQ that says use of funds, or it's at the bottom of the landing page of the website, Vi. If you don't want to look for it, go back to the home page, scroll to the bottom, and right there, I'm sorry, where the grant award amounts are, there you go. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. So eligible use of funds, the requirement is that you use it for your business. And because your business was affected by the disaster, you can use it on whatever you need for your business. All right. My apologies, my allergies flared up. Talking a lot today. All right, let's keep moving. Vi, if you scroll down and click the application guide for me. All right, we encourage everyone on this call, anyone interested in applying, go ahead and just do the application guide, download it. It's a lot of information, but it will answer probably 90% of your questions. And it's very helpful because it's going to help you navigate the process. So if you scroll down, the first 7 or so pages is all information that I just explained that would be on the website. The overview, the zip codes, qualifications or eligibility requirements, and eligible, your required documentation, all of that we just looked at on the website. All right, so if we scroll down to the next section, remember I said you needed one document that you would get from us, and that would be the applicant certification. You can get it here in the applicant guide. See where it says click here to download. You can get it there. And if you want to click on it, Vi, it's going to put you in another screen, but you can bounce right back so that people can see what it looks like. It's a 2-page document. All you're going to do is download it first, complete it with your initials, and it's just asking you, questions about qualifications. Complete your initials, scroll all the way down for me, Vi, and then you're going to sign, date, and put your address, and then just save it as a PDF. When you get in the portion of the application where it's time to upload your docs, you're just going to have this saved, and you will re-upload it where it's asked for in the application. And I'll show you that in just a sec. Vi, if you can go back to the app guide. All right, so in the app guide, we tell you exactly how to download it, how to save it. The next 2 pages, they tell you all the steps you need to do to, if you need help with saving and uploading the app guide. The next section, tips for applying. These are things we ask small businesses to pay close attention to because sometimes these can make or break. You get frustrated. You're like, I'm going through this application. I got stuck on this page, or I never saw the pop-up that came up, or, my information is not getting in correctly. These are 3 helpful tips that we encourage all applicants to do. The first thing is clearing their cache. The other thing is if you're using someone else's device, especially, or if you've used yours a lot and you haven't closed all your stuff, go into an incognito window. It's a private browser, so it makes it smoother. Do the application in Google Chrome. It's better, but it can be done in other systems like a Safari or Hotmail, things like that. And then lastly, enable your pop-up blocker. The next few pages, if you scroll down by, they give you the steps on how to do all of this. So it will tell you, no matter your device, how to do each one of these items. That's why we find this really, really helpful. And you will have this app guide translated to the language that you would need. All right, so we can keep scrolling. So then this page here, tip number 2, it just tells you how to put a document in a PDF format. We will only accept PDFs when you upload the document. So it needs to be in a PDF format, including your taxes. All right. And then your emails. Do not use an email address that starts with info at, because we won't get it over in our application. And make sure your email addresses don't end with contact at or no reply. And that's to the right of this sheet here. It tells you that information. We can keep scrolling down. All right, so then persona, we talked about a little earlier that you're going to need some identification. And what's going to happen, it's a pretty common practice now, because unfortunately, we do have some bad actors out there where people are fraudulently trying to gain access to this funding that should be available for our hardworking, legit businesses. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in, but we need to make protection measures around it, not only for the funding, but for you as an applicant. So what happens is when you're in the application, you'll be asked to upload your identification front and back, and then you'll be asked to go to a device that has a forward-facing camera. It will ask you if you want to transfer it to your phone, you can, which is really easy. Or if you're on the computer, just make sure your camera is on, because it's going to ask you to scan yourself left and right so that it can match the person in real time with the identification that you've uploaded. And you can keep scrolling by. The next few pages tell you all about how to do it, what to do, and then what to expect. You see the green check mark at the end, you should see that. Now, if you get stuck, because we have seen where people, they're moving too fast or it just doesn't, it fails. It's okay to fail. It'll ask you to do it again. If you do it again and you still fail, still continue the application, because we will check it on our end to make sure we validate your identity. All right, we can keep moving. All right, how to start the application. Keep on scrolling down. Here's the big deal that I think is absolutely wonderful. This app guide shows you every question we are going to ask in the application. So the next few pages that we're going to go through is going to show you exactly what the application looks like. When you click the Apply Now button, you're going to land here at the application portal. And it's going to ask you to go ahead and put in your name, your email address, and create a password and your phone number. Then it's going to text you immediately to confirm that it's your number, and it's going to ask you some security questions as well. You know, the ones that says maiden name and or what's your pet's name. You answer those, and once those are answered and you've confirmed your phone number, then you get into the application. All right. And so moving along in these pages, every page here tells you the section of the application. There are 9 sections. And then what the questions look like. We're going to ask about eligibility. The first section is about the owner, right? The name, address, birth date of owner, all that stuff that we need to gather on the owner. And it's very important that we get owner's information and business information, right? So if you scroll to the next section 3, right there, this is where we start to ask about the business. Now, we often get the question, if I'm a business, it's not my personal, why do I have to give my personal information? It's actually for security. And because it's grant funding, we have to tie a person, a physical person, to the business in these applications. All right. So you're going to put in all your business information. It's going to ask you questions about qualifications, the address of the impacted area. You can also put in your mailing address. Please note that when you put your address in for the business address, it cannot be a P.O. box. Your mailing address can, but your business address cannot be a P.O. box. It really needs to be an actual address. All right. It can't be a P.O. box. So then once you put that information in for your business, all right, you can go to, let's see, we're on business here. It's going to ask right here, this is good vibe. Here, we're going to ask the questions about your entity type. And as you can see, most entities are listed here. Sole prop, independent contractor, LLC, CNS Core partnership, and just a regular limited liability partnership. So you select which one fits you. And then if you're a nonprofit, you select if you're a 501c3 or other, your state of formation. And then here's the big one, date of business registration. This should match your business registration documents because remember, the business must have been registered on or before June 1st of 2023 with the city, county, or state of California. All right, so we can keep going to section, continuation of section 3, where we ask for your EIN. We do accept your social or ITIN for the business as well, especially I think a lot of sole props use this, even some independent contractors and some LLCs, but you can put either in. However, whatever number you use that's a tax identification number for your business is what you need to put in. All right, and then you're going to put in your annual gross revenue for the year of 2023. This one gets tricky because we're in 25, right? You might say, "Oh, my annual revenue last year was," we need it for 2023. So make sure you put that in and it should match your tax return. All right, you can keep scrolling. Right here in section 4, continued, please also notice throughout the application, wherever you see a question that has a red star or asterisk beside it, it's a required question to answer. The other thing is there are info icons throughout the whole application that will give you more information on what the question is asking. All right, and then these are some demographic questions that we ask here about how you found out about the program, what you're requesting in the grant size. You can keep scrolling by. This page is very important because all of you on this call, please select that you received assistance from ABA because you're on this webinar because of them. They're going to be here to support you. And we want to make sure that we're close with them to help you in any way. And that helps us when you say, hey, I went to ABA to get some support and you list it here. So please identify them in your application. All right. And then you're going to tell us, your customer base. And we can keep moving. Here is some additional information. This page here, we are encouraging everyone. Remember, you have to meet certain guidelines, but pay attention to the words in the application. It asks here about your business or nonprofit. Are you registered by June 1? You're going to answer it, honestly. Then it's going to ask about, are you open or operating? You're going to answer it. Yes, I'm still open. I may not be making much business at all, but yes, I'm still open, or no, I am completely shut down. Then it's going to ask you, does your business plan to reopen at the impacted address? So if you say, no, I'm not open and I'm not in business right now, we want to know, do you plan to reopen back at your original address, right? And if you say no, that's still okay because it's understood that you might not even know, especially for certain areas that are hit hard, might not know if it's going to be a rebuild, right? So then it'll drop down into number 4, where it says, if the business will not reopen at the impacted address, does your business plan to reopen in the affected area? What that means is, remember, qualifications require that you plan to reopen in the Eaton or Palisades areas that are listed, mainly the zip codes, you plan to reopen in those areas. It doesn't have to be back at your exact impacted address. So the drop downs will give you the options. Yes, if it's Eaton. Yes, if it's Palisades. No, you don't plan to reopen, or no, you plan to reopen, but it will definitely not be in any of those areas. All right, so pay attention to how you answer these questions because they will affect your eligibility. The other thing is, once you submit this application, and there's a lot of indicators in the app guide and in the application, once you submit it, you're unable to change any of your answers. So just take a moment, read it, and make sure you answer everything clearly or ask questions if you don't understand. All right, we can keep going. Section 6 is all demographic questions. You have the opportunity to decline to answer if you want. Continue Section 6 here. Just highlight the question number 7. It's your NAICS code. If you don't know what your business industry, that's what it is, if the business industry code is, in the application, there's a link, and all you're going to do is type in what you do for your business. If I'm a dog groomer, you're going to put in dog groomer, and it'll bring it up for you. But this does not weigh and it is not considered in eligibility. It's really collecting demographics on industries applying for the program. All right, we can keep moving. We only have a few sections to go. This is where you're verifying your identity. Remember, I talked about the plaid. You're going to upload your ID front and back, and then you're going to go through the persona process to verify your identification. Here's the fun part where you get to upload your docs. Now, let's say you forgot that the applicant certification, remember that document Vice showed that you put your initials in? You can say, dang, I forgot to get that. No worries. It's right here in the application. You can click it to get it when you get to that page, and then you just complete it, download it, and then you re-upload it here. All right. The other documents, remember your tax returns and your proof of business. So you're really only uploading 3 documents. We encourage applicants to go ahead and get those documents saved on whatever device you're using in PDF format and put them in a folder and label that folder business grant documents or whatever is going to remind you. That way, when it's time to upload those docs and you click upload, it'll pop up with your PDFs and you can just put them in there. The other good thing about the document upload space is that when you get in there, you'll see 3 little dots to the right of each document we're asking you to upload. And you'll notice where if it's required, we still need it. It'll be in red. If it's in green, it says submitted. But what you can do is click the 3 dots and look at the document you uploaded before you submit, because you would laugh, but we get a lot of prom pictures or pictures of kids and things that people didn't mean to upload. So just take a quick glance to upload, to see what you're uploading before you submit. All right, we can keep going. And then here, we just continue into how to upload the document. And we can keep going. And then lastly, you're going to do plaid. All right, so you're going to link your bank account. Now, so that you all know, plaid has become very more common and popular amongst many, many applications. You do need to log into your bank account in this process, but we at Lendistry and our partners and anyone affiliated, we never see your login information. We are not privy to it. We never see it. What we do see, once you grant permission after you log in, whatever account you select, we see 60 days, up to 60 days of your bank statements. And why we need this is very important. 1, because we validate the bank account with the business and or business owner. 2, which is a biggie, it's where we're going to deposit your funds if you are awarded for the grant. So it's very important to do this. The good thing is, if you scroll down a little bit more, it's telling you how to do it, right? Scroll down another page or 2. This is where you would log in, and then it says, hey, you give us permission. Keep going. Right here. Let's say you are still uncomfortable with doing your bank account, like logging in. You can manually enter your banking information, your routing number and your account number and your information. But This will make the process a little bit more lengthy because once you manually enter it, we're going to ask for more documentation. You're going to need to upload 2 months of your most recent bank statements, all right? Because that's what we would be collecting in Plaid, and that's what we would need you to upload. So if you do this way, you can enter it, and then a pop-up will come up and say, hey, we're going to need your 2 months of bank statements, most recent, and you're going to pop those in there. All right, so there is an alternate method. All right, after you've done your application, like I said, there are 9 sections. We'll get to the last one. You can scroll down some, Vi. Right here, the last section is you're basically doing a quick review. You're going to look at each section of that application and say, hey, I put this in right. I answered that correctly. Oh, I've fat fingered my phone number. Let me fix that. You can go into any section of the application and make corrections. At the end, you will click in the little box that I agree to the terms and conditions, and then the submit your application for review will light up. It will not light up unless you click the agree to terms and conditions, and that really is just saying that you will follow the practices of this program. So once you submit, if you see at the top left of this page right here, it tells you you can't make changes after you submit. But let's say you did accidentally do something like you typed in the wrong address. You can give us a call, all right? If there is a point that you need help with to update on the application, we are happy to help if it's an item that we can validate. Now, if it's an item like the 50% or like you plan to reopen, we cannot change any of those answers and you will not be able to change anything. But please call us if you need help. All right, you can scroll down to the next section. I won't go through everything in the guide. I wanted to show you guys the most important things, but the applicant submission will give you an email back. So when you start the application, you'll get an email to say, hi, your application has been started in the portal. And then when you submit the application, as long as everything you put in fits the eligibility criteria so far, you will move on to the next step. Now, if you entered information that does not fit the program and does not make you eligible, you will know immediately at that moment that you are not eligible, and it will send you an email telling you why. Now, please note, if you happen to fat finger or you did not put something in correctly, you have 5 days to contact us at the Customer Experience Center, and that's what the email is detailing to you. Here's why you may not have been eligible, and here's what you can do, but you have to call within those 5 days. All right, we can keep moving, Vi. The review process, this is at your leisure. You can look at it. It tells you, what steps you may in, what happens if you are awarded, how long it may take to get your funding. And that would be only after you have signed closing docs and have been approved for funding. So there's a lot of good information there. And if you scroll down, there are a couple more pages that tell you, these are very important. So you submit your application. If you see in the left column, that's your status. Those are the statuses that any applicant can get. It tells you the status, it tells you what it means, and then the last column tells you if you need to do anything. So if I were an applicant and I put my application in, I would have this saved so I can see what does my status say, and let me make sure I don't need to do anything else. All right. Thank you, Linda. All right. And then the rest of this app guide is really just useful information if you get stuck in the application, how to troubleshoot, and all that good stuff. So I know I've given you guys a lot. Vi, you're welcome to scroll to the bottom, and then we can see if we have any questions. All right, again, there's our Customer Experience Center number, and we can stop share and see if we have any questions. Let's look in the chat. Let's see. All right, I don't see any. Thank you, Linda, and I think she hopped off. Hopefully we can share this out with our networks. All right, and the chat is open. We have about another couple minutes. I know we're at time, but we're happy to stay a couple minutes if you guys have questions.